Hi and welcome to Framed, a Let's Play with a focus on cinematography. My name's Aubrey and I'm going to be your host. Today, we're playing Uncharted The Lost Legacy, Chapter 2, Infiltration. As always, there could be spoilers, so please watch out for that. Play The Lost Legacy first, and then come back and watch my Let's Play. Without further ado, here's Chapter 2. Right off the bat, Nadine starts confronting Chloe. And you can tell that Chloe's irked not just by her facial expression, but right behind her, there is lightning that goes off. So it kind of shows that tension and that she is about to go off herself if she keeps getting questioned.
Another warmonger with no
the scenery gives away more about how Chloe's feeling, not just by her facial expression or her movements or her action, although those do contribute, but right behind her here, there is the burning wreckage of the city behind her. You can tell that when she gets the most angry, it goes from a small flash of lightning to that huge plumage of smoke. The scenery not only reflects how Chloe feels, but also how Nadine feels. So right when Nadine gives up her fight and sort of admits defeat by handing her over the binoculars, it starts to drizzle just a little bit. And right when Chloe's getting pretty excited about everything and quote-unquote in sight of the treasure, there's that fire again. So instead of being angry, it's sort of like a passion that's lit and that she's trying to go after. Notice how there are two stone figures on either side of the balcony, and it cuts right over to Nadine and Chloe. So I think that's an intentional comparison. And in this next shot, we're going to see two lights where Nadine and Chloe are almost in front of. So there's this dual theme presented throughout this game, and objects both big and small, and in more subtle and more obvious ways. However, I think the guardians were interesting, or I'm presuming they're guardians. I don't actually quite know what those are. If you do, let me know. But those two stone figures that are really strong and also stalwart, kind of. And it cuts right to Nadine and Chloe. So it shows that these women are really powerful and steadfast in their beliefs, perhaps, and their convictions. And then it cuts to light, which is the opposite. It's kind of airy and insubstantial, but it's also what is quote-unquote good. A lot of times light's associated with being good. And now we see these two red flags. So right in front of the pink lotus, that's like the lotus is like enlightenment and not giving in front of materialism. And then in that frame, there's two red flags. There's actually three red flags, to be fair, but which I think is on purpose. So at first you only see two red flags, which is Nadine and Chloe, but there are actually three. So could that third red flag be for Sam? Perhaps. But what I want to say about the red flags is I think they're there intentionally. You know, they're there as a warning sign. There's a bunch of red flags also used in Uncharted 4, both obviously like as flags on a pirate ship, but also as like some sort of tapestry, a little bit tattered, that the characters, right when they're about to enter a dangerous situation, would be presented with. So Chloe and Nadine are about to be faced in a dangerous situation with perhaps a Sav inside, and there are these red flags sort of warning them that it's going to be dangerous. And so I think it's interesting how the scenery often is very telling if you're willing to look into it. So I think it's interesting because the scene is so reminiscent of Uncharted 4. It's two people sneaking in through a balcony window, or door as it were, but window door, to unveil this place of treasure, like a literal treasure trove. So in Uncharted 4, this happened with the Drake brothers, with Evelyn's house, the old lady's house, and they got time to kind of see this just massive treasure, and they fell in love with treasure hunting at that moment. Not that they didn't care about it before. They knew about their moms, probably some of her adventures, but that's when they really cemented the idea that no, we're going to become treasure hunters. And here in this game, there are two people, and one of them is already a treasure hunter. She already knows. But the other is a former military person. She's not a treasure hunter yet. And yet I think if it's relating that scene to this scene in Uncharted 4 to this scene, is that there are two people who are about to cement not only their relationship but their love of treasure hunting together, and it's going to be pretty influential. So that's interesting to me. Another way that the scene reminds me of Uncharted 4 is that this white crane on the shelf right over here, it has a red fish in its mouth. It's a little hard to see, so I'm going to go over where it is again on the shelf on the far left to get a little bit closer look to it. But why I'm singling that treasure out compared to all the other treasures, yes, on the left here you can see the crane a little bit better. But why I'm pointing that out is because this sculpture was actually found in Thomas Tew's house in Uncharted 4, and I believe Henry Avery's house as well. So I think that's just a fun little Easter egg. I don't think it necessarily means anything thematically to this game, but I just wanted to point it out. The next artifact that Chloe interacts with, I was really transfixed by, not just because it's beautiful, but because I felt like I'd seen it before. So I looked into it, and it's actually a Nataraja, which is Sanskrit for the Lord of Dance, and it's a depiction of Shiva. I'm going to read a little bit about the statue from lotussculpture.com, just because I think it summarizes it better than I could. The upper right hand holds a drum from which creation issues forth. The lower right hand is raised in blessing, betokening preservation. The upper left hand holds a flame, which is destruction, the disillusionment of form. The right leg represents obscuring grace, stands upon a soul, temporarily earthbound by its own sloth, confusion, and forgetfulness. The uplifted leg is revealing grace, which releases the mature soul from bondage. The lower left hand gestures towards the holy foot, an assurance that Shiva's grace is refuge for everyone, the way to liberation. The circle of fire represents the cosmos, especially consciousness. The all-devouring form, looming above, is Mahakala, great time. The cobra around Nataraja's waist is a soul-impelling cosmic power residing within all. That sculpture of Shiva is laden with meaning, and to sort of simplify it a little bit is that when Shiva dances, and I hope I'm not oversimplifying this, but when Shiva dances, it typically represents an ending of an age. So when put into context of this game, it's interesting because we think about what that would mean or how that contributes thematically to either Nadine or Chloe. And I think that's something to kind of meditate on a little bit as we proceed forward in this game. This is simple here, but I really like this little corner. On the left, we see the rain streaming down the window pane, and on the right, in the light, we can see the rain shadows on the orange wall. And there's that divide of both blue and orange, which are complementary colors. And I just think it's really beautiful. And it brings to mind that duality once again of fire and water and orange and blue. So I think it's interesting at this point there's this sort of divide. And right now, Nadine and Chloe are not getting along great, but they're not horrible either. Part of the reason I think I associate water with Nadine and fire with Chloe is not just because Chloe's holding fire now, or earlier in the chapter she was positioned in front of those flames, and Nadine, when the binoculars were passed off when she was making action, was associated with fire. But if you'll notice their clothing and their colors, so Nadine's associated in wearing blue, and throughout the rest of the game she is wearing blue. And so typically that'll remind you more of water. And Chloe's wearing red, and that's going to typically remind you more of fire. I like in that subtle gesture, it shows that Nadine and Chloe are almost playing with fire right when they get to the treasure. And you'll notice again this theme of duality. On the corner, there's two Ganesh heads, and there's two people again. So once again, we are faced with that. There are two main characters. There are two Ganeshes. It is these equal parts.
Nadine Ross. What a pleasant surprise. Careful, brothers. This tiger's got claws.
A sov.
Oh, all these years. And you haven't aged a day.
You're too kind.
Are you looking for work? I hear that Shoreline's under new management.
Temporary setback. Nothing I can't handle.
Of course, of course. Pity though. My men and I could use someone of your caliber. Why are you here? I mean, this isn't your area of expertise.
It is a nice collection, I must say. Chloe Fraser, collector of antiquities.
A thief? You're working for a thief.
Sir, we have a situation.
What?
I'll be right there. The disc.
Oh, right, about that. At first, I mistook you for just an average rebel.
Oh.
But you have managed to find the Hoysala Empire. That's not bad. Their greatest treasure, the Tusk of Ganesh. Now that's not an easy find.
What are you doing?
3 Persian invasions, 3 separate wars, and all these years later, no one has found it.
We're close.
You're lost. And the only chance you have of even narrowing down its location is to find someone who can help you crack this artifact.
Someone with an extensive knowledge of Hoysala society.
Exactly.
An expert in their culture and history.
My rates are reasonable.
A parasite who exploits our struggle in order to fatten her pockets.
So that's a no. Felt like a no.
You've got balls. I like that. But I don't need any more so-called experts. Shoot them. Throw their bodies in the river.
No need. We'll throw ourselves out.
You'll notice once again this fire and water, this duality theme is reinforced by Chloe kicking the fire to stave off Asav and his men. It's a destruction, but it's also a way to keep them preserved and healthy. And again, of course, more obviously, there's the rain falling down in the bomb city, the fiery bomb residential area in this Indian town going on. So there's that duality. And finally, Nadine and Chloe are seeking refuge, and their ultimate goal is to get into the river where they will be safe. If plunging into a body of water after a large firefight seems familiar to you, that's because it is. In Uncharted 4, Nathan plunged into an ocean right after the jail in Panama when he was getting gunfired at, and then he was dead. So there's a lot of similarities, as I said before, between Uncharted and The Lost Legacy. And The Lost Legacy, of course, was supposed to be a DLC. So it makes sense that there are those similar themes.
How are we going out there?
On schedule. Should hit land in about an hour.
Great.
The Tusk of Ganesh. No wonder the Hoysala capital was ransacked. Look at this thing. Any luck?
I don't need luck.
I'd say we can use all the luck we can get.
Are you still hung up on Asav's so-called expert? Don't worry.
If Asav's not in the Gets already, he'll be right on our heels. Plus, he's got weapons, transports, hundreds of men.
Like I said, don't worry.
Looks like some kind of key.
Maybe. Let's see. Okay. The trident was Ganesh's weapon. The bow and arrow was Parashurama's. And the axe was a gift from Shiva. The great battle.
What?
The battle in which Ganesh lost his tusk. I bet we find these symbols. We find the tusk.
Not bad, Fraser.
Yeah, well. You thank my dad for that. Hindu myths were his thing.
It rubbed off. You must be proud.
Sun's almost up.
I'll go get ready. Nice work.
For anyone who missed my lovely voice in the second half of this Let's Play, I apologize. However, I think sometimes it's better just to watch and Also, it was more setting up the plot and characters than it was super visually heavy. Not that there's nothing you could talk about. I'm sure there's something you could find to talk about if I wanted to. But sometimes it's just better to digest and take things in. Anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed my Let's Play so far, and you will continue to watch every Wednesday. So I hope to see you back here next week. Thank you so much. Bye.